Let's give the theist the first shot. James, 314, Missouri. James, are you there?
Good afternoon.
Is this the James that dialed us for Skep Talk last Monday? Because the comment section is still talking about you.
Yeah, I think I'm the same one.
Lucky us. What would you like to speak about?
Well, first I'd like to say something a little humorous. I was listening to Forrest just now. He ended his talk, and it reminded me when I was in the Marine Corps in boot camp. Somebody asked one of the drill instructors a question, and the drill instructor came up to him, put his hat in his face, and said, "Why would you ask me a question like that? That's just like asking me how I make love to my wife." And I can't even describe you how it went over in boot camp, but
absolutely.
Your giblets are none of his business. What's your question or comment for the show? And back off the mic a little bit. I'm hearing not a great signal. I want to make sure everybody can understand you. So a couple inches away from the phone or the mic. Start again.
How we doing now?
A little better. Hit us.
Okay, how we doing now?
We are doing great. Give us the giblets.
All right.
Giblets.
Are you familiar with the grand unified theory?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how close are we to solving that, do you think?
I don't think anybody actually even knows, because there's so many moving parts and so much stuff that we don't know that we don't even know what we don't know about it.
Yeah.
Grand unified theory is any model in particle physics that merges the electromagnetic weak and strong forces into a single force at high energies. I can't participate in this one.
So what we're talking about there's four major forces that govern the universe: the strong nuclear force, the weak nuclear force, electromagnetism, and gravity. Those are the four forces, the fundamental standard model of particle physics. And the idea is, can you make a single equation, a single model that unites all of these things into one predictable thing, that now you have a single mathematical equation that tells you how the whole fucking universe works? And we're nowhere near that as far as I know. And we don't even know how far away we are from it, because we don't know all the pieces that are missing. Again, I'm also not a physicist, I'm a biologist.
Yeah, I understand that, but I thought you might have, recognized that and understand it a little bit better than I do. The thing that I'm getting at, they say if you get to a unified theory, if you get there, then it will help you to understand everything better, right? Or that you would think so.
Yeah, you would understand quite a bit about how the universe works.
All right. So, like, I'm a theist. I believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a spiritual experience that was based on the Christian scriptures. So I joined a Christian church. And I continued into that Christian church until it started going around and around and around. Every message was an evangelistic message. Every message was trying to get more converts into the church. So it never did feed my spiritual hunger. I'm already in the church, so I don't need nobody to tell me how to get in. I'm already in it. So I'm looking for stuff to help me grow spiritually. So I couldn't find it, or it wasn't going to be taught there the way I wanted to understand it. So I had to go out and research the things that I wanted to understand. And I found out there was a lot of information out of there. So I began to look in the other religions like Buddhism, Hinduism, and a couple of more things. I found out that they all basically had a lot of things in common for us believing in the unified principle. But they couldn't give you the experience of God. That was something that's personal with every believer. Just like you were saying about your wife, that relationship between you and her is personally, and you can't share that with anybody.
Sure,
and even
but
if
like,
you
I think
were
it's
to
important to point out. I think it's important to point out that you had this experience, but like and you say your experience that you had seems to align with the Christian religion, but like every other person from every other religion that is incompatible with yours also has experiences that they point to that say are only functional in their religion. And so it sounds to me like you just there's the unifying thing here is that humans are capable of having profound experiences about things that they don't understand. And the difference is that when you're in a religion, no matter what religion that is, you're going to ascribe that experience to that religion, even if you don't have a good reason to.
Okay. Well, see, it's like I'm saying, sometimes it's hard for me to articulate what I'm really trying to say. But like I say, I wasn't getting spiritually fed, or my understanding wasn't being elevated in the churches that I was in. So I began to go outside of the Christian church and look at
James. I'm gonna hone you a little bit. You went out and sampled at the buffet, and you saw that there were a lot of similarities, but none produced an experiential response like the one you got with Christianity and the Christian God. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay. So your evidence for God, if I'm reading the description of your call, your evidence for God is what?
Well, my evidence for God is that God works outside of religion.
Oh, we had this conversation already.
Yeah, we have to have a focal point. So the understanding I came, here's one that might help me out. There's a statement in the Buddhist religion that says, don't follow the Buddha, be the Buddha. So that means the Buddha had a certain experience, and that experience is available to anybody who seeks it. But if you're trying to follow the Buddha,
I always took that as meaning kind of the same thing Gandhi said of be the change you want to be in the world. Be enlightened and be good.
Correct.
Doesn't mean you have to have the same experience.
Well, I'm just saying I was using that in context that the Buddhist religion say, don't just follow the Buddha, be the Buddha. That's what their religion tells you to be. Now, there's a lot of people who follow Buddhism, but they're not going to sacrifice what it is to sacrifice to get the experience that the Buddha had. Because you understand, the Buddha went out, gave up everything, he all sit up under the Bodhi tree. And
we know what Buddhism is. We get that. What is your evidence for God? I'm trying to dial you in.
Okay, so here's what I'm saying. So the Christian scriptures say where Jesus, the Messiah, told his disciples that if they didn't understand earthly things, then they would never be able to understand spiritual things. Because if you can't understand what you see, there's no way you're going to be able to comprehend what you don't see. So he was telling them that you're going to have to come up a little higher, because what the word alone won't do it. You're going to have the experience of the word. So I look at all religions promise you something. Like the Buddhists say that you can be the. Go ahead,
James. Go ahead. I don't want to talk about other religions. I know what the other religions claim. Forrest knows what the other religions claim. I would like to know how you're connecting this dot. And I think this is a riff on the conversation we had on Monday, where you're saying if we expand our knowledge base here on Earth, we are then better tooled up to understand the supernatural or extra natural things that are of God.
Correct.
Aha.
Correct.
Yes, exactly. You're welcome. I was able to do that for you. Okay.
I'm doing the same thing now. I'm in the process of evolving. Now I understand that the Christian Bible is basically myth. You have some historical stuff in there, but basically the stories are just mythical stories to get your mind in a basic understanding of what you can do at your mental level to apprehend God. at a
Hang on,
low level.
hang on, James. Hang on. And the only reason I'm jumping in is because I want to make sure that we are addressing these foundational things if we are going to proceed. You don't know why or what the agenda was for the writing of the Bible. You don't understand. You don't know if it was borrowed from previous mythologies as part of genre gods. You don't know if it was political, where they were trying to control people. You don't know if it was just straight up mythology. You cannot say that the Bible was written as mythology in order to get people to exercise sort of their a kind of a storytelling or trust muscle. Ooh, that sounds like a double entendre. To be able to then do a better job of exploring the natural world and then seeking extra natural things. You're ascribing agency to those people. You have no idea what their motivations were.
Well, what would make you think that I don't have any idea what their motivations were?
Because you're not a mind reader. We don't believe in mind reading.
Nope. But I'm a researcher.
Well, what research have you found that gives us the motivations of the authors, whoever they were, of Genesis through Revelation?
Well, here's the first thing I'm going to say. I'm fully persuaded that Genesis is a myth. Wasn't no Adam and Eve, wasn't no snake in the garden.
We've established the Bible's a myth. I get you. We're tracking. But how do you know what is the evidence for the motivation of the authors of the Bible?
Well, the motivation for my belief that Genesis is a myth is science. The science tells me that it wasn't no Garden of Eden. And
my question is,
has the evidence.
If they wrote it as myth to create an exercise, what will essentially be a faith and an educational exercise for humankind, how do you know that? What is your evidence for their reasons for writing the myth?
Because the evidence goes back to people having spiritual experiences long before the Bible was written. From other coming up as in our evolution and our involvement as human beings, we begin to have
I don't think I can do another
transitional
spirits. I just don't know that I have it in me. My giblets are simply not equipped for another. Do you have something? I'm just going to sit back and recover.
Giblets.
I do need fortified giblets.
The problem that we're having here, James, is that like you're sharing with us that like you have this idea about where the Bible came from, where why it was written, and what God really is, and how spiritual experiences work, and none of it. Actually,
I don't wait a minute. Hold up. I don't know what God really is, but I've had a transcendental experience that I call God-given.
Sure,
and I believe
the problem is we have naturalistic explanations for all of those things that don't require any kind of gods or anything like that. And so even if we agree that there's something that we don't understand, like a transcendental experience or whatever like that, that also doesn't necessarily mean that there's a God or anything like a God. That could be some other thing. And even if you were to say for sure that we know that Genesis is wrong, that doesn't point towards any other particular God, or it doesn't also say that the God couldn't have been around the whole time and then eventually wrote Genesis because he was tired of being misunderstood. So like at the end of the day, you haven't given us any actual clear evidence for what you're saying. We're just kind of talking about what you're thinking.
Here's my place. I was thinking about it as I was sitting out here waiting to answer this phone call. I remember when I was in elementary school, I think we had a science class where they brought in microscopes and the little slides and let us look up under the microscopes to see things. Sure. I never saw anything. It didn't work for me for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe I wasn't that interested in it, but I didn't see anything that got my attention that provoked me to go farther in it. So I missed that. So now I'm thinking about you as let me see. You are a biologist, right?
I am.
Okay. Now, biology that you are practicing is way different from that Aristotle's practiced.
For sure.
Because what you're practicing today would put Aristotle just out of the game. And like I think it was called Copernicus, who first publicly said that the world was round and got put to the stake for it. Then Galileo came along later on, and then Columbus in 1492 sailed the ocean blue to confirm it. But for all those years, people were in darkness about natural things. And like we're still in darkness, it's concerning the unified theory.
So, but here's the thing, James, this is exactly what we came to last time. Maybe there is a God. Maybe there is something else out there. Maybe. But we shouldn't believe any of it until we have direct evidence for it. And that's the thing that Seth and I keep trying to get across, is that what you're pointing to here, saying like, well, here's these things that we didn't understand before, and maybe there's something we don't understand now. Maybe there is. In fact, there probably is. But we can't say there's this gap of understanding here, so I think there must be this other thing that fills it in and then kind of run with that. We can't do that. We have to wait until we actually have positive, definite evidence of this God that rules out other ideas, other possible explanations. And then we can go forward with that. Because so far, everything you've given us, so like in this call and in the last call as well, is gaps in our understanding of the natural world and your personal experiences and your personal ideas that don't rule out other conflicting religious ideas. Does that make sense?
It's it, but you kind of presupposes what I'm thinking. But it's a scripture in the book of Acts that says God, in the book of Acts, 17th chapter, says God, who have created all nations out of one blood. One blood. All men came out of one general. Yeah.
James, I so appreciate you calling the show. I hope you have a wonderful day and a great, great rest of your weekend. I'm sorry. He's quoting the book out of Acts. You know, he's quoting the book where donkeys speak Hebrew and people levitate and live to be 900 and live inside the stomachs of submerged prison fish and fly to heaven in a fiery chariot and floating zoos across the planet for a year. I just can't do the word salad, Forrest. I can't do it. Forgive me.
James is a really nice guy, and he really does want to talk, and he really does have he just wants to have a conversation, and I don't think like he understands what we're getting at, because I think he's waiting to say the next thing, or he hears us starting to object, and he just wants to clear up that objection rather than hearing the thing that we're saying and then responding to it.
I don't hear that. I hear a random series of thoughts that I don't think he's a nice guy. I hear a random series of claims or positions that have absolutely nothing to do with the thing that he said before or with the comment or question that we have presented. So I'm just like, I'm sorry, what? How do we make that chasm size leap? How do we make that chasm size leap? And I was terrified we'd be on the phone with him till midnight. James, have a wonderful evening. And thanks for calling the show.
Hey, come on, man. We gotta promote that clip we all just watched.
Well, I'd rather not shill.
Okay, well, Daddy has a $2,000 a month red oak habit, and I am your production god, and you will shill when I tell you to shill. Dance for me, baby.
Go, God damn it. Why did my life come to this? Go to patreon.com/call-the-line and donate. God damn it.
This is what happens when we let live chatters write our scripts.